Okay, good afternoon and welcome to the seventh session. So we have covered quite a bit of ground. We have done what data is, big data is, what analytics is, how analytics is used in business, which is more important. Marketing, operations, they use HR also is a late starter, but there's lots happening in HR because there's lots of data also. Earlier, there were not so many data points. So now there is enough data, and we went into the subject of HR analytics, which is applying measurements or metrics from recruitment to separation, the whole life cycle of an employee. So at every stage, there are important metrics which happen. For example, if I talk of recruitment, time to hire, cost of hire would be important metrics. Whether the guy leaves within the first 6 months is an important metric. For training, we of course know, and we'll cover this in great detail today also. So, and of course on onboarding, not much is measured on onboarding. Onboarding is seen as a cost, yet there is some amount of measurement which is done, and therefore this book actually covers all the measurements. It doesn't talk of training as such. If you see in your book, there's a in your study guide, there's a book by Fitz and Lay. Now, this book gives the ROI of most of the things: career velocity, cost of onboarding. So everything can be metricized, everything can be costed. It's a different matter whether management will view this seriously or management will say, okay, good. Okay, so that is where the problem is. But a lot of companies are doing serious amount of measurement, reviewing. Even if they don't use the term measurement, they will review, they'll have their own mechanisms. So from acquisition to separation, as I said, many metrics can be generated, including if I talk of selection, if I talk of recruitment, if I talk of training, if I talk of compensation benefit, if I talk of performance appraisal, if I talk of career velocity, if I talk of succession planning, and if I finally talk of separation or attrition, whichever way you like it. So HR analytics plays a big role. Like I gave an example that how many people will leave in the next quarter, you can more or less make a measured guess if you have so many data points. So people usually leave companies between November to February. So in IBM, we had seen there was a model which worked. And similarly for other companies, they'll have their own uh, ways of measuring people. Now, why do we measure? Philosophy of measurement is very simple because we have to save our bank. So if somebody asks what is the work that you are doing, so many classes we did, so many sessions we did. Each session was wow. People gave a great feedback. So we did a good job. We did so much of vendor spend. We spent so many on employees, etc., etc. So today we are getting into a measuring training. And I would wish that we keep it conversational, not really a monologue. And let me know your thoughts very freely in your organization or your life. Do you measure the way as I go through the slides? And as Yogesh said, we'll end with the quiz. Okay, that will be the end of it. Uh, let's begin, unless you have any questions at this time. Okay. So let me start out this Zoom. So we are getting into measuring training, measurement of training. So why is training measured? There are so many reasons why we measure training. and I'll come to it slowly. So why do we evaluate training? One is training is an investment. Okay. So because training is an investment, wherever there's a spend, people would want what is there. For example, I did a program. So Tata Power said that I will nominate people if you have a pre-test and a post-test. Or I will nominate people if you can give a personal comment on every training. Have you come across this situation when they want that how is my guy doing? I want a confidential report from you. And then they agree. Have you come across such situations? Okay, so this is an important area because ultimately the training is done by a client or a stakeholder who pays for the training. So if they see as an investment, they'll want a minimum, some sort of a give back at your end. It could be a report how every training, for example, I remember one guy, and there's a company here called Webel Technologies. They're into, more into, I mean, electronic technology. So the training manager or the DGM, every time whenever I want people from him, ISTD training, he says, give me a report who was the best, who was the worst. Now, sometimes it becomes very sensitive because all people come possibly having not known this. So, and in a training, you cannot make out who's good. So, for example, in a training, a guy is talking too much. Okay, or a guy is very, very, what would I say, active. Now, maybe in work, he is not so active because there are people around, because there's a peer pressure, he has to show that he is a stud, he or she. So, regardless of gender, I have seen this. So, they're very effervescent, they're visible. So, you have a tendency to say that she was very good. And the guy who didn't speak much, he was very taciturn or less spoken, we tend to have an agreement that this person possibly was not, unless he does a great thing in a group work. So, what I'm trying to get at is whenever you design a training, have this in mind. Either it's a group exercise or a personal exercise or a profiling where there is an element of scoring that person. Otherwise, if this question comes to you, that please tell me who was the best of the lot, we'll have a problem. Okay, and let me know your thoughts about it. I'm just leaving you with a thought. Because it's an investment, it's just half the statement or the tip of the iceberg. What they want to know is who is the best investment. Okay, so and it becomes slightly embarrassing as a third party to give a judgment of a guy whom you have seen just 8 hours or 6 hours. The other reason is to decide whether to go or not go anymore. For example, I'm doing a training because it was done, So I say that no. Let me do an acid test. If everybody, usually you'll see every company, once something has been adopted or any technology becomes a BAU, they will not spend on training anymore. So if it's unless it's a course which definitely adds value. For example, in IBM, there was a consulting academy. So that used to run when I joined in 2002 in a different name that still runs in 2025. 4 years I am not in IBM, but I still hear people, consulting academy was very good. Or in PwC, management consulting, 1, 2. 1 for juniors, 2 for seniors. Now, the need for this, people can learn from Google, people from do ChatGPT, but yet that need is there because these guys will meet clients. They will need client, oriented behavior. They will need to win deals. They will need to make presentations. So the need will never go. And there are some programs like, let's say, when this, we used to call it, not scam, we used to call it, social, uh, A was analytics, M was mobile, C was CAMS. We used to call it CAMS, cloud. Okay. So when we did cloud, when we did CAMS in IBM, now we stopped CAMS because 100% of the people were touched. So it's over. No, there's no need to do CAMS anymore. Everybody knows cloud, everybody knows analytics, everybody knows. So there was a CAMSS. What was the double S? Social learning. So at that time, these were coming, all these, Orkut, Facebook, what have you, 2016, 17. So I had to monitor how many people went CAMS. So cloud, you did, analytics, we did, mobile, we did, social, we did, and I think one was smart commerce or something. So that is a decision that we have touched whomsoever needed to touch, so we'll not go about it anymore. Another reason is refined curriculum audience trainer. Now, once a training is evaluated, you get a bad feedback. Okay. Now, if you get a bad feedback, it's a good news. It's a good news in the sense that there is a chance to improve. And here I'm talking a little like a coach. Nobody likes a bad feedback. But then you know where you can refine the curriculum. Okay, maybe they said that, this pedagogy was not good. There was a drone. One guy kept on speaking and speaking. He didn't give us a chance. Or the curriculum is too basic. Or it's too hi-fi. It went up over our head. Also, is this training good for the audience? So the audience maybe was very basic or at a lower band, or the audience were partners who didn't want such a overkill. There would also be a feedback on the trainers. You have put in people, they actually show up as full. They don't make the slides. Maybe many of the slides they make, but many of the courseware they will not make. They will have instructional designers who will be the architects of the program. So somebody makes the program, delivers onto you. Now you are the guy in the front. So kill the messenger if you give a bad training. Or if he's a great guy, people say, okay, we love this training. And I'll come to this feedback form. It's also done to outsource. For example, Udemy and Coursera, they would do better training than, let's say, IBM in one area. So give it to them. Now, the moment I give it to them, I know that my privacy is being compromised. They will know the mail ID of all the trainees. They might try to, individually reach out, do business. But that is the risk you take by decision to outsource. Pretty much, when you do ChatGPT, be very aware that you are actually giving away your company info to ChatGPT. Now, how far is allowable, how far is not allowable, I'm not going. Not into the morals of it, but data privacy definitely is compromised. The moment you outsource, yet there might be a logic that if I do a make or buy, it's much more difficult to make. So let me not boil the ocean. It's not my play area. So I'll call a specialist who will do it better than me. And usually a third party, people don't want to always trash them downright. I have seen that guy must be a good guy, therefore he is an IBM third party. Oh, they called in an outside, they called in a consultant. Why is this guy called? But you don't know, he's got great experience, he's ex-McKinsey, he's this, that. So people will not give a third party a bad feedback unless he's horrible. To be very frank with you, they will try to give a good feedback because he comes with a different voice. For an insider, they will not be so sensitive. Formative and summative, we had spoken the last day. Formative evaluation is when you are getting a feedback at the pilot stage. That is when 4 or 5 people are just observing. So you have made a course, you don't make it public. Who are the people who are listening? It's the customer, maybe the client, the end user, maybe the HR, maybe the business guy who has wanted this course, your sponsor, and maybe one more instructional designer. 5 people you deliver in a room. And then they say, okay, just like cooking. Okay. So you give them to taste and they say, oh, this is very spicy. Or they'll say, this is very bland. Or they'll say, put a potato in it. Or they'll say, give them pre-course work. This is too light. Usually what happens with training is sometimes it's very light. So many of you, and we can have a conversation about it, unless you are ready for 2 hours of masala, or what is the English word, material or ammunition, you cannot deliver a 1 hour class. Okay, and we can have a conversation on it. Unless you are really full with stuff, it's difficult to, because people have energy, they will suck everything that you, or they'll sink in. Suck is not a great word. They will take in everything that you have got to offer. So in a commercial scenario, go always with a much more loaded material, because people in today's time, they are distracted, they will want more and more. Unlike yesteryears when I have 1 hour, so I'll only cover these two topics. Today, once two topics are over and you are on the 45th minute, they will say, sir, there are 15 minutes more. Why don't you get on to chapter 3? Now, if you have not prepared chapter 3, then you'll have to do a Q&A. You'll have to, entertain them with something else. And then they make out. Summative is that you are given a feedback at the end, which we have normally sent. Now, I'll stop for a moment, not go to strategies. Any thoughts at this time? We are 14 of us. You heard me for the last 5 or 10 minutes. What is your thought? Any thoughts, Jyoti? Why do we measure training? That was the idea. And I had said that these are the reasons why we measure training. One is whether to continue with the syllabus, with the training or not. One is whether we can refine the trainer, the curriculum, or the audience. One is, what was the other thing?
The sir stakeholders had put the finances and they want the return on that. Sir.
Yes. Stakeholders they would want answer. So stakeholder, like I said, one guy said, can you give me a pre-test and post-test for my guys? So if it's an open program you're doing for many people, if you're doing it for a company, they'll take care. They will say, okay, you're in our system, so we have our own feedback mechanism. But good stakeholder will have expectations. Like I said, like this company called WebEd. Okay, it's a technology company. They said, give me a confidential report on each of my attendees. Now, then it pushes me back to the wall, because if I say, not that it matters greatly, he will also have his own judgment, but I have to pass a, jurisdiction on this trainee was good, this trainee was not so good. Now, in one swallow doesn't make a summer. As I said, in a training program, possibly his performance is very good. He's contributing, he's speaking, doing group work, but maybe in real life, he doesn't do much work. And that is usually the case. Those who don't do much work usually are very sprightly in training. Okay, I'm not making it's a sweeping comment, but sometimes it's true. And those who are usually quiet, they will do a lot of good job in the office, and they'll make very meaningful contributions in a program at specific points when asked. They will not do without on demand. And there'll be guys who will jump around, they'll say, every time they will answer a question, they'll not allow others to, they'll try to monopolize. So in net, you have to evaluate a training in entirety. Any questions, any thoughts before we go to the next?
Sir, as you said, like it's very difficult to evaluate a person in that 6 hours or whatever time is allotted. So, what should be done in that case?
One is you say that I cannot, because in a small, and this I have found, but still maybe you do a pre-test and a post-test. That is one thing which is non-invasive. Everybody gets a pretest and the same test is given at the end, at 9 o'clock, at 5 o'clock. Scan the papers, give them the score and say, sir, this is what we have done at a L2 level. So he is also happy, or the client is happy that, at least these guys took a test of my people. But if the guy is difficult, I mean the sponsor, like I remember, somebody gave money. Once we did a program, so he said, I'll sponsor you. And that guy used to sell, all these, I cannot put it on my face, on my name, undergarments. So he said that I'll give you $10 or 10,000 rupees, but after every 10 minutes, you have to say dollar underwear or you'll have to shout. So, there are people who will give you training, but they'll want such a bang for the buck. They'll say, who's my good guy? So, and it's very difficult. It's dicey. For example, you said that, bhakti is very good. Now, the guy whom you are giving, he or she may not like bhakti. So, it is good to safe to do. I mean, cutting a long story short, just do a pre-test and a post-test.
Okay, sir.
Is
Thank
that
you.
a good idea, Bhakti?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Surely. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, because you will find such people who will want, they'll make requests that please evaluate my people. And it's not a consulting assignment, it's a training assignment. Had it been a consulting assignment, you could have taken that.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So I'm going on to the next because I'm sharing real life where sometimes where people want. In a company also people will want, but they generally know who are the bright ones, who are the ones, but you don't know much about them. You have gone as a third party. So good to just finish with a pre-test, post-test if they desire. Otherwise, don't do anything. I mean, it's not good to evaluate people without a reason. Okay. One is no evaluation. Like Japanese companies, they totally believe people. Okay, like my parents. They said, I have given you my DNA and RNA. I don't want to see how good or bad you are. Okay, so my parents, I remember, they said, Bas, you are born, now lead your life. So they didn't used to judge me. I have given my RNA and DNA. So that is the Japanese system. Now, if you turn out to be a Frankenstein or a monster or Jesus Christ, like today is Easter. So, it's the parent is not bothered because he doesn't evaluate you. Similarly, Japanese companies, they don't evaluate you. Once they have taken an employee, they have taken for life. American companies are exactly the opposite. They're mad and they're maniacal on evaluation. Now, which are the programs which are not evaluated? POSH, cybersecurity, quality, business conduct guideline. So you just click, 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 click. You go through that compliance course, finished, end of story. Everybody is POSH certified, everybody is cyber. Because these are, you cannot question the fundamental. You can question, yes, the trainer was good, bad, whatever, or the content was this, that. The other day I got a request, sir, can you give us a cyber security in Bengali? I said, I'm not terribly good in, my mother tongue, but I'll give it a shot. No, these are students, they'll not understand English. You speak hi-fi. So I said, no, I'll not speak hi-fi, I'll try. Because it's a challenge for me. I have to speak 3 hours on, fishing. So your slides can be in English, but you have to speak in Bong. Anyway, that's a different story. Quality. If you go to mines and, Hindustan Copper, like they want a training on safety. So that's a non-negotiable. You cannot say that this safety program was not good. Because safety's metric is if accidents are going down, then safety programs are good. For POSH, if complaints are going up, POSH is good. For the simple reason, because people are knowing POSH, so possibly they are making more complaints. So earlier there was people used to be quiet. Why get into all this hassle? Who has touched whom, etc. Nobody likes the girl or the guy. I mean, and there are so many injustices going on. People take advantage. So these are programs which have no questions asked. Now, come to reaction level. Now, even from an Indigo Airlines to your, they'll give you a QR code and they'll say, sir, scan at the end. The other day I did a program for ABG Group, Aditya Vikram, Aditya Birla Group. So they are very maniacal on training. Now they have a feedback at the end, which is done by a QR code. Now many people go by that same, they will give you a sheet of paper and you have to write. So anyway, reaction level, everybody does. Learning level, this is what Bhakti's question was. This is the area where you can do a bit invasive by taking a pre-test and a post-test. So you give them a score, maybe they score 9 on 20 in the beginning at 9 o'clock. At 5 o'clock, that guy will score 15 out of 20. It may so happen that he scores 15 in the morning. Now you have given such a nice training that the guy comes down to 9. Now that is a tragedy, but those are few cases. Next is behavior level. Does the guy has a change in behavior? Okay, so that is the third level. So many people don't go up to this level. Maximum they go up to R and L. We will do a L1 reaction. Feedback is good. L2 is good. We'll do a pre-test, post-test. Beyond that, it will take a lot of energy, time, and money. What do you do in a evaluation instruments? You usually have a questionnaire. How many questions will you keep in a questionnaire? Any idea how many questions will you keep in a questionnaire when you are asking a feedback for a program?
Approximately 10.
Approximately 10. I was just Jugal Kishore.
Dr. Bose, before answering this question, I also wanted to understand this behavioral part, the last one which you were showcasing in the previous slide. I think most of the time it becomes very, very difficult when you try to assess these kind of a management mandated programs. Because I think very recently I also attended a program which was related to the mindset of the middle management and the senior management level. So they hired an external vendor, and then we got into a 2 days of a complete workshop, and we were talking about different kind of a mindsets.
Hmm.
So where we wanted to give them the resolution mindset, and then uh, ultimate goal was a resolution mindset. But before that, we also went through different sort of a mindset and how we can create that sort of a thing. But apparently, when we started assessing that particular part, in fact, like for my own team members also, I also faced a similar kind of a situation, like which was with the external facilitator, that we were not able to gauge and assess that how much these people have understood, and then how are they going to institutionalize these learnings into their day-to-day maybe work, or how they are going to work on the different KPIs of the L0 metrics which are defined for them. So, what should we do in such scenarios, like where it is related to the behavior of the individual?
Okay, if I mean the assignment is that give me a behavior level feedback
Uh-huh.
does the guy, I mean, is he, I mean, let's say he has a fixed mindset. Okay, now you make him into a growth mindset, or he wants to take up more responsibility. Now it can be done only over a period of time. That would be my simple advice, not over a 1 day or a 2 day workshop. Then you politely decline, so this is too small a time where I can gauge behavior. At best, I can do L1 and L2. As I said, it is always safe to stay there. If the person says behavior, then you take a tack that I'll come back 15 days later or 1 month later, and maybe we have this conversation around that time. Because unless you do a goalpost 1 to goalpost 2, in that spell or in that, in that, what is it, in that sprint, as they say in today's language, you cannot gauge a guy's behavior. And if the person is very insistent that no, Jugal, I want a behavior rating, so maybe do a broadband brush that these would be the band of people who apparently seem to be potentially, I mean, more ready. And these would be the band of people, I mean, ABC or a, yellow, green, amber. So do a, McKinsey job and get out of it. Because the moment I'm coming to Preeti in a moment, when I say that this man's behavior, is behaviorally advanced, then you are actually passing judgments. And it may not be founded on great data, so you can be challenged. So this is my simple and humble submission that take time. Say that I'll come back the next time, and maybe we do this conversation when we come the next sprint. Does
Okay.
that seem a fair response, Jugal?
Yeah, I would say, but I think still because the stakeholders' requirement sometimes it's that while they understand, and then I would say they also know the fact that okay, it will become very difficult to gauge and assess the behavioral aspects of an individual after just a workshop. You really need some time, and you really want that mindset to be aligned. I would not use change word over here because this is nothing else but the alignment, because most of the time it happens like when you are actually dealing with the individuals the way you were just asking, or maybe a group like of people who are actually aligned to a specific department, a specific goal or a vision or a mission statement. But they sometime generally I think one more thing which you just use, that they are fixed mindset. They are
Yes.
fixed to a particular point, and now what you need to do, you need to bring a change management also for that, and you need to make them align with that particular goal, that okay, now we are actually changing certain things, and though it will be a complete paradigm shift, but if you will just try to impose on it, then it becomes very difficult, and people might break down in the journey itself. So that's why you really need to inject something in a very slow manner. So that was kind of an effort which I think saw that in during that particular workshop, though it was a very experiential workshop, very minimal theoretical thing. It was based on the complete activities, and people were so engaged. However, still, like when I started looking into those kind of a thing with my own team members, they were not able to recall that what was the objective of those activities, though they were engaged and engrossed in the activities.
And how long was this program, Jugal?
So, as I told you, that the program was for 2 days,
Two
and there were
days.
like different four mindset that we discussed with 4 to 5 different activities, and there was in between the leadership was coming, and then they were giving their perspective during the leadership talk.
Got it. So I did a program like this for SBI. Banks are usually very tough clients. One way is, Jugal, to get out of this, try to know their mind. They will have a said that these are my good guys,
Okay.
and try to speak that language and give one or two, controversial statements. Otherwise, your value is not taken. And he
Mhm.
has said something new. So maybe they want A to be at the top of the heap. You say A is good, but I found J was also terrific. So they have something to ponder about. So that is one of the things that I would advise. But it's best to, know their mind and more or less play along, because in 2 days you don't know a group of strangers who's a great guy and who's a guy who's slightly coming in. So maybe good idea to have a conversation beforehand in such a case, or to do a questionnaire, that have a FGD, focus group interviews with the guys, the trainees beforehand, and possibly you'll have to charge more money for this because it actually goes into consulting.
Correct.
That is why I stop. I do not get into consulting because training is training. Finish off, get your thing done, and get over. But the
Mhm.
moment you say nay, you tell me, sir, you are so good, Rahul ji, tell me how my people were. Then you'll say, I need a different set of fees for that. Now, since you cannot say you're a polite bugger, so you say that this will need time, sir. So maybe we come back to it the next time, and I'll do a FGD with your people, and we'll do a good job about it. But if they're insistent, and if it's part of your, purchase order, then maybe do a interview with them beforehand, and do one interview after it's over, and then give the judgment, so that it seems that you have done the due diligence and then have given something. And try to just whatever they say, because they're paying. So if A is good, you say A is good. You cannot say the sun rises in the west. You have to say the sun rises in the east, because that is what they want to hear. And maybe put in a few of your own original points, and I think you'll be well off. But a great question, Jugal. It made me think, and that is where I stop. I stop at training, and consulting is a different ballgame.
Absolutely.
Okay, Preeti ji.
Yeah, just to regarding the evaluation for level 3 behavior.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to share, like, we provide trainings to corporates, and after the TNA is over, we go back to them and we ask them, what kind of evaluation do you want? Will it be level 1, 2, 3? We have gone up to level 4 as well. So regarding level 3, when they say we want level 3 of evaluation, so we prepare our commercials, as you rightly said, fees are different, commercials are prepared accordingly, and proposal is shared accordingly. So what we say, after 2 days of training, pre-post is also done. After 2 days of training, the faculty will be in contact with the participants. Say there were 15 participants, and we need to evaluate the behavior after 2 days of training. So it won't be immediately after 2 days. So we take time of 90 days. So we say there would be connect, faculty and participants connect, say 3 or 4 times. Virtual connect would be there, where participants would be sharing their feedback, their success, their challenges. Say there was training on time management, or say some communication skills. So regarding that only, the virtual connects will be there. Faculty will be providing the feedback and how to go about it for each participant. And after 90 days are over, after these 3 or 4 connects are over, we go back to the management. We go back to the managers for their feedback on the participants. And then we prepare a uh, consolidated thing, like how they performed, where were they before. Like they would have, before starting of the training, we asked managers to rate them on specific skills, specific competencies. And after 90 days, we prepare this report and say, ask the managers, how do you rate them? Say in communication skills, time management, or prioritizing, how do you rate them? So we've asked managers only, and then we prepare this presentation and show it to the management. Like the 15 participants at the start of the training were at this point, and after 90 or 100 days, they are at this point. So we show them the delta. So that is the
Excellent.
value addition which we do. Yeah.
Great thing you do. I think, you have answered Jugal's question very well. I mean, you have added a point of view. And Preeti, if I were to ask, then this would go into a 80,000 to a 1 lakh bill. It will not remain at a 15, 20, 25. Is it not?
Yeah. It's more than 50, 20
It's
K.
more
Yeah,
than-
definitely more than that.
So the
And
line
level 4 is even more. Yeah.
level 4 is equal.
Yeah.
So when I started Jugal, just a funny story before I go on to the next slide. I was told by one of my partners that you're a good guy, so clients will tell you to jump. So he used to jump in the class. So he said that if they tell you to jump once, immediately jump. If they tell you to jump twice you jump. If they tell you to jump thrice, then you say, sir, now my legs are aching, I need money for jumping. So, there's, like Preeti says, there's a very structured way to get into this. And it goes actually beyond training. It's getting into consulting, because you are giving an insight on their behavior. Okay, so many companies do it. Many companies will not go up to this level. But many of the companies today are going up to this level. They do not want to stop at just, ticking the box and training done. So what are the ammunitions we have? We have a questionnaire, we have a test, you can have a FGD. Like Preeti said, that you have a round of discussion, you observe, and you do ranking scale. Training evaluation sheet, all of you know. Perception of the program, how was the program received? Facilities become very important. If it's a noisy classroom, if it's there's noxious fumes, sometimes inside the plant, there are chemicals, or there are certain things, then it becomes difficult. Or if you go to so it's important that it be odorless, smokeless, noiseless. They'll give feedback on trainers, they'll give feedback on content to be done at the end. Now, many people don't do it at the end. I have seen in Indian Oil Haldia, they will take a feedback after every class. Have you ever had a situation where the guy takes 45 minutes, 1 hour or 90 minutes, he'll take a feedback. Anybody come across? Well, no, sir, we are taking this class's feedback. We don't wait for the end of the day. Do you think it's a good idea or a bad idea? Or many people do it, so I cannot say it's a bad idea. But have you come across such a situation?
Not in training, but when I used to teach in one of the institutes, there they used to take feedback on each day.
Yeah. So there they used to take feedback. In Indian Oil, I have found.
Each session.
Thank you. After every session, they'll take. And then it becomes a little bit of a challenge in the sense that, you know, I mean, if you are a trainer, then you know they have already decided a little bit on you, but maybe collected at the end, it might change. What are the areas? And I think we did this last time. So we'll just quickly go over. So in your L1, first thing is, was the program objective met? So for example, like PTG said about time management or negotiation skills. So was that objective met? Second is program content, sequence of the content, whether things came in right order. Did they find the material valuable? Was there a motivation to learn? Like I said, you know, the last time that there's a guy always in the class. So I asked him, why are you always there in every program? So he said that my boss wants me to. So if the boss has sent him, his motivation to learn is not much. Because his boss has sent him, so he comes. So it's important to know what is the motivation of the guy to learn. Learning can happen because of career development. It can happen because the manager wants him or her, that reportee, to, you know, learn this something new. Or it can come from a assessment center evaluation. So it can come from 3 or 4 sources. Why is this guy coming in for this program? Next question, what will you do after the program has ended? Like I used to ask in IBM. He said, I never presented. I said, we taught you so much of presentation skills. Did you get to present to a client? No, my boss did. What did you do for the boss? I prepared the presentation. So at least he's prepared the PPT for his boss to present, so which is fine, or his team lead. So at least some amount of relevance should be there. Otherwise, you know, that guy is not a fit candidate in the class. Pre-training material, it's important these days to more or less send all the material in advance. Now, if you know they're actually signing up and that your material will not be forwarded to anybody else, it might be a good idea to give everything beforehand so that, and even after that, they will not come having prepared. They'll say, last night I had a presentation, sir. We work in a factory, there was a breakdown. I couldn't study anything that you said. Have you come across this scenario? I find this many times. What about the case study I gave you? Sir, now is the time to read. Because, you know, we didn't have any time. One guy will say, or one lady usually, ladies are better than men. They'll say, I have gone through the case study. And this is what the case study is. So you may have a ray of hope in your class, or you might find that they are starting to read at that time. Assignments. Okay. It is a good idea to give an assignment. Every learning gyan or, you know, theory must be backed up by an activity or an assignment. Then you know that the guy has learned, or at least he will learn by peer learning. Maybe he's not a great learner, but he learned from one good guy in that group. Methods of delivery, some people, you know, so many ways. Some people like words, some people like action, etc. There's also the facilitator who's involved. So how good or bad the facilitator was, they'll give a feedback. Facilities, as I said, it's about the air con, it's about smokelessness, it's about navigability, it's about having water in the class. Now, many people these days, they say no plastic. So they'll have a jar and then you have to fill up. Have you ever found such a classroom? There'll be, in ISTD, we have one person. Anytime he sees a plastic bottle, he'll say, you know, I mean, he'll be the mother of, who's this person? Greta Thunberg. How dare you spoil? So Did you find any of the, these days they have a bottle of water and they have glasses, or there's a water at the corner of the room and there are paper cups. You don't have bottles anymore. Many places. Though you have many places have bottles, but you might just come upon an activist who will say these bottles are spoiling the world. Have you come across such a class where there are only, glass bottles? Many times.
And in hotels also, in many hotels where they promote sustainability, there also glass bottles are there.
There are also glass bottles are there. Now this is gaining ground. Glass bottles are heavy, whereas plastic bottles are, you just do kadak. Okay, but then plastic is
Correct.
anyway, that's how it is. So water is very important. Always in a classroom, first thing I check whether the guy can have water. More than my feedback, okay, how the guy will drink water. That is my first bother. No, sir, they'll help themselves. Then I say, no, they can't help themselves. Put it slightly closer where they can. So always on these facilities, if you have to give a training, be very particular about lunch breaks, about tea breaks, about the breaks. Because everything is fine, but if these things are not fine, then they'll give a stinker. Okay, finally action plan. Earlier, I didn't used to bother much about this. I used to bother about content. But as I'm growing, I see that this becomes very important, whether they can have water. So, and maybe it's because the company, if it's happening in a company premise, they will not complain because that's the way it is done. But I, as an outsider, I feel that these guys are thirsty. They have done a assignment maybe, then they'll need water. So it may be a good idea to be a little empathetic. Okay. Now, what is the limitation of a L1? One is based on the feelings at the time of test. So if I give a feedback form, in the morning, usually people will give a good feedback. If it's in the afternoon or in the evening, people will be in a rush to catch a train or, to do something. They'll do a hack job and get away. So maybe a good idea to take the feedback around 2:30 or 3 o'clock when most of your material has been delivered and not wait till the end of the day that we'll have a group photo, we'll have a feedback session, etc. Don't make it into a ceremony. The moment they come after the afternoon tea or before this, many people don't come after the afternoon tea. They say, I have a meeting, I have to go at 4 o'clock. So you keep the feedback form around 3:45 and take it at that time. Possibly you will get a better feedback. One. Number two, participants may be too polite, too rude. Some people are very, what is the good word? On your face, some people normally, they'll not want to give a bad feedback. This guy has traveled so much. He's spent his time with us. Maybe there'll be a kind soul, but I have seen many people are straight. They'll give you a good rating, is okay. Good rating is no assurance of learning and job effort. So be very clear. As I said, a good training performance is no assurance of a real performance in life. Maybe the guy jumps around and he answers all your questions, looks to be a very able resource. So many people say that he's a great resource. But many people will say only on the days of training he's a great resource. Okay, the other thing is the time of the day that session is offered. So this is based on research by Baldwin, Oliver, and Sauter, that which is the best time to deliver a feedback session. Now, many a times you don't have a choice because the company itself has a time. They will say, we'll take the feedback at 5 o'clock, or they'll say, I'll take it at 3:45. You don't have much of a say, but if you have, try to exercise a bit of your judgment. Any thoughts on feedback taking time? When people give you a feedback, when do they give you a good feedback? When do they give you a bad feedback? At any time can be same, but still, what are the chances? Any experience shared? And also important, maybe to tell them beforehand that this is the time which will be for your feedback. Okay, I think giving them an information rather than handing them over or giving them a QR code, sometimes is you declare that we'll have a feedback session after the end of this session. So they are ready. Because at that time, they are like children in the class. They will listen up to you with all the authority that you possess. Okay, let me move on. And if you have anything, so this is an evaluation sheet. So maybe there'll be better evaluation sheets. Training was relevant. Usually use a Likert scale. 5 is good because it has 2 at the end, 2 at the beginning. 3 is neutral. So many people, just to avoid that, they have a 4 scale feedback. So if I give 2 means I am actually less. If I give 3 means I am actually at the higher end of the scale. But if it's a 5-point scale, 3 is a median, which many people say it's a no feedback or it's a dummy feedback. The guy doesn't want to comment whether the training was good or not good. Relevant to my need, materials, length of training, content, questions, okay, instructor, presenter was good or not good. So these are some questions. Now, why are reactions so important? Why do we are so hell-bent on reactions? You know that take feedback. And how much feedback do you get back? Let me ask you a question. Let's say there are 30 people in a class. How many give feedback? How many do not give a feedback and go away?
Whenever we ask for such kind of feedback, hardly we receive 50% or 60%, not more than 60% is also on a higher side that I'm talking about.
60% means you're well done. Thank you, Yuval. I couldn't have agreed with you more. Some people are not bothered. I have done my bit. Feedback is somebody else's business. Okay. So there will be guys like that. And 75% means many people have given. The companies, they make it a point that everybody gives the feedback. So it's important just to keep, otherwise your data points are not solid. Based on, let's say, if 3% only gives feedback. Conventional that if you like a program, you like now. Why is feedback so important? That if you have liked the guy or the program, chances are that you will use it. For example, Preeti said about time management. So the guy spoke about prioritizing, he showed about, Eisenhower matrix, what is urgent, important. Now, if the people find it good and they say Preeti was fantastic, possibly 1 or 2 people will start using it the next day. Now, if the feedback is bad, possibly none will do. Therefore, L1 is given a lot of importance. Reactions have related to changes in diversity training, important since it measures attitude. Okay, this is a L1. L2. So ask my boss, so this is taken from a book. Sample test I used to measure. Typically a pen and paper test, or you take a pre-test and a post-test like Tata Power they wanted. That give all my 7 people a pre-test and a post-test. So I did duly send them training manager the marks, of which only one guy, Aryan Anand, I remember his name, he got 18 on 20 in the pre-test, but got 16 on 20 in the post-test. So that is one of my failures. The rest 6 were predictable. Okay. So L2. L2 is knowledge, skills, and ability. What L2 is second level. L1 was feedback. Like this was L1. Okay. This was L1. This we are now going into L2. Knowledge, skills, abilities. Okay, you can do an interview, you can do a survey. Ideally, do a pre-test, post-test. Or you can observe. Now, observations again are, unless it's declared, there's nothing documented. So they may challenge. Or you may, record, video record or whatever, do any of the fun stuff. But then there must be a buy-in at the end. Now, behavior. This we discussed at length. Used to assess acquisition of skills may be determined by observation, rating collect. Okay, so here has the behavior of the guy changed because Preeti has given her a time management course. So maybe the guy comes on time, he exactly ends the presentation when it's supposed to. Or in IBM, I had seen that there was used all good bosses or good managers. Well, I give you 10 minutes back to you. So they didn't used to use exactly 90 minutes to give them. They didn't used to, pull till all your time is allotted. So in any modern company, once you have done your business, that is the time. Whereas many traditional companies, if there's 1 hour, you must complete exhaust the full 1 hour. I personally believe if you have done 1 hour in 40 minutes, people will be happy. 20 minutes, give them back. They are not bound to listen to you. But again, it's my personal opinion. Ratings collected from multiple sources, so the peer or the manager, they will also give a feedback that yes, I have seen a change in behavior of Jugal, or I have seen a change in behavior of Jyoti, etc. So if that be the case, then you are taking a good spectrum. Level 3 and 4. How do you get level 3 and 4 behavior and results? You have to do a follow-up questionnaire. You have to interview maybe them, their bosses. You do an FGD. So pretty much like Preeti said, that then the size of the contract also increases. It no longer becomes just a training. It becomes into a project. Results. Stuff is to map. That is why, there's a video. Let me see if I can. Cycle time lower. So how will you measure results? Your training was very good. So training is safety training. Immediately can be proved, sir, we have less accidents. So safety training, or immediately the boss will be on, if there's a fatal accident, like in a mine, immediately the CMD, it will go up because, fatal accidents they leave a lot of trail. Why did the guy, pass away? Or if he is injured. So safety is one big ticket item. Cycle time lowered. Can you do it fast? Ease of work. I mean, usually, in India, unless it's very, what is the good word? Very thick and laid in like less accidents. Like, quality of air quality going up. Something that you can smell and breathe. If Delhi today has a better AQI, and there's a training which has actually done it, not odd or even or something. So then people will understand, okay, this training was good. Unless you visibly see a difference, people will not like to say that because of training this has happened. And on the other side, these are the benefits: cost of training, salaries of trainers, training costs, consultant, supplier, vendor, travel, customer. So all these will be costs. And in your book, there is a problem which might come in the exam. And this is that, which is that ROI of training. It is in page number. There's a Jack Phillip and a Patty Phillip. Okay, here's it. It's in page 111, the Nelson page. Okay. So if you go into your booklets, you will see in page 111, there's a ROI calculated. Okay, so I would encourage all of you to get back to your books and do a little bit of studying on this chapter, not only for the exam, but also for your own insights and understanding. But it's very difficult to show results that because I gave a good training, cycle time has gone down. And this we already know, you have been already taught. Where did you learn this? In instructional design, is it? Patrick or everybody told this?
I think it was a part of our first semester subjects, not only in the
Okay.
IT, but apart from that, other subjects were also there where Kirkpatrick was used.
Excellent. So this has already been, done to death, Kirkpatrick. I'm not going over it, but we more or less, training effectiveness has 4 levels: reaction, learning, behavior. Difficulties, results. Okay. Now, Jack Phillip goes one step beyond, and maybe we'll see this video if I can find it, either today or the next day. Anyway, today is a good day. Reaction, learning, application, business impact, ROI. So he goes on to do this calculation, or maybe I leave the link with you so that you can watch it. Just give me 2 minutes if I can find this. Just 2 minutes. If I find this, it will be a good video to demonstrate. How many of you watched this Jack Phillip video? Anybody? Just a minute.
Sir, video I do not remember, but yes, this Jack Phillip and Kirkpatrick, it is the we have been studying almost in every module.
Every professor will tell you about this.
Yes, yes. Even in our organization, it is being discussed every time.
I know. Thank you so much for, this is one Phillips ROI model. Let me see ROI, how much time? 6 minutes. ROI Institute, okay, this is Patty Phillips. I think there was a Patty Phillips talk on one day organized by our national president, Atul Shaji, proving the value of soft skill. Do you want to watch this video?
Yes, sir.
On
Yes.
ROI?
Please, please.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That video we are not aware, so at least sir, we can watch.
No. I mean, are you interested? Then I'll show.
We are interested. I have personally not seen that any video regarding
Okay.
this.
Let me put this one up. Just a minute. Yeah. Just 1 second.
5 levels given by Phillips ROI model for training evaluation are level 1, reaction, level 2, learning, level 3.
Okay. Just a minute. And
The
there's
5
some-
levels given by Phillips ROI model.
Let me go here. Share sound.
Organizations around the world are spending billions of dollars on trainings. They need to know if this money is spent effectively and is providing any measurable benefits. That's the reason training evaluation is required. This video explains the Phillips ROI model for training evaluation. Let's see what we are going to cover in this video. In this video, we would provide answers to the following questions. Who gave the Phillips ROI model for training evaluation? How is this model similar to Kirkpatrick's model? What are the various levels in this model? What happens in each level, and what are the drawbacks of this model? Phillips ROI model for training evaluation was given by Jack Phillips. This model is built on Kirkpatrick's evaluation model and is considered as an expanded version of the Kirkpatrick's evaluation model. The table on the screen shows how the Phillips ROI model for training evaluation is similar to the Kirkpatrick model for training evaluation. The 5 levels given by Phillips ROI model for training evaluation are: Level 1, Reaction, Level 2, Learning, Level 3, Application and Implementation, Level 4, Impact, and Level 5, Return on Investment, ROI. Next, let's see what happens in each level of Phillips ROI model for training evaluation. Level 1, Reaction measures the initial response of the participants for the training. Did the participants feel the training was useful? Was the training of good quality? Were the participants happy to be part of the training? Were they excited or were dejected due to the training? All this is generally measured at this level through questionnaires, surveys, smile sheets, or informal discussions. The data captured at level 1 is not of much use to the organizations as it is too basic. Consider this oversimplified analogy. You see a professionally dressed, smart-looking person while conducting an interview. You are impressed by his visual appearance. Similarly, only the immediate reaction of the participants for the training is captured during level 1 of evaluation. Level 2, learning measures if learning has happened through the training. This is generally measured through pre-test and post-test after the training, quizzes, comparison with a control group, and observations from colleagues or managers. The data captured at level 2 is important for the organizations as the basic aim of any training is to enhance employee performance. Consider this analogy. You start interviewing the candidate with whom you were so impressed in level 1. At this stage, you realize that the candidate's basic knowledge on instructional design is not up to the mark. You hire the candidate and put him on training. The candidate performs well in the assessment conducted after the training. This is what is captured during level 2 of evaluation. Level 3, application and implementation measures if the participants are using what they learned during the training. If not, it also determines what are the issues with application of the learning or its implementation. Continuing with our analogy, the candidate had performed well in the assessment conducted after the training. However, you are still getting escalation from the client on the quality of work done by this candidate. What's wrong? Phillips' ROI model helps in figuring out the problem. For example, the case might be that the candidate is creating good storyboards. However, the instructional design lead doing storyboard reviews is making a mess in the storyboard. This is what is captured during level 3 of evaluation. Level 4, impact measures if there any measurable impact of the training on the business. Along with it, the Phillips ROI model also measures the other factors that might impact the business. In the analogy, if the client has reduced the number of projects, escalations and quality are not the only factors that are to be considered. Phillips' ROI model considers other factors also that can impact the business. For example, the client might have lesser training budget on their end. The client might be contemplating building their own capabilities, the key stakeholder might be sick, or a tornado might have disrupted the client's business, etc. Level 5, return on investment, ROI, measures if the training was beneficial in monetary terms. Investopedia defines ROI as a performance measure used to evaluate the efficiency of an investment. Cost-benefit analysis is done to determine this. The formula to calculate ROI is given on the screen. One important point to consider over here is that the profit should eliminate the profits due to non-training factors in this calculation. Some common drawbacks of this model are that the ROI is calculated at the end of the training. That's quite late to implement any changes as the training has already concluded and the learnings can be implemented only in the next trainings. Another drawback is that it is difficult to figure out the profits due to non-training factors in the ROI calculation. This brings us to the end of this video. Now you know who gave the Phillips ROI model for training evaluation. How is this model similar to Kirkpatrick's model? What are the various levels in this model? What happens in each level? And what are the drawbacks of this model? We would come up with more interesting and informative videos soon. Till then, keep learning and grow.
Okay, did you like the video? Yes. Share it later. Okay, this was shared in data analytics class. Is this the one I showed right now, Ramesh?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So it gives an idea, you know how it goes. Yes, sorry.
Valuation, which is also known as Anderson's value of learning model. Let's see what we are going to cover in this video.
Thank you, Ramesh, for giving that. So, you know, it gives a sense of the ROI model. And as I said, there's a worked out example in page 111 in your book. on ROI. Okay, again, not going into this. Basically, they do all the profits. Profit in the sense cost saving. You can't do much top line, but you can do a little bottom line. And you classify all the costs. There are other methods as well, like COMA, cognitive variable. So it's there in that Kidwai and Noe book. But in case you are interested, let me know, CIPP. So these are not so Kirkpatrick and Patty Phillips, John Phillips, Jack Phillips, they have actually made the cut. But these are people also who work. They are more on process. These are slightly oriental models, which do not, they're not fixated on results. They're more on the outcome, slightly more deeper questions. But unfortunately, they are not commercially very, very successful. Also fits in. This is the book from which I told you that a lot of HR measurements you can get. So it says about situation, intervention, impact, value. So Fifth Sense it was a good book, 1994. Now, what are the costs? Classroom space, audiovisual. How much cost will a LCD guy take? Any idea? All of you are trainers, so if you have one yourself, you'll not know. But if you were to hire a guy who for LCD, what is the price he'll take? Any quick answers?
I guess I think Bruce, we were discussing with Preeti also regarding the same thing. It depends. Like whenever you are impaneling with external vendors and asking them to conduct sessions, so the cost varies from 30 to 35K to lakhs of rupees also.
Okay, I think, if you take a simple one,
Mm-hmm.
class of 35, then maybe for one collar mic, two hand mics and LCD, it will all come in 5,000, 6,000 rupees.
Achha,
Okay,
sorry, I thought you were asking for the entire program. My bad.
no. I'm just asking for a daily rate. Okay, but
Okay.
thank you. Thank you for taking a guess. Yes, if I'm doing long term, then obviously materials, travels, in-house instructor, I'm just limiting to a day's program that you hire somebody for a day. So you do your cost, indirect, okay, pre-post material, fee for program purchase. In case you incorporate a license or you have something special that will have a cost, trainees' salaries, okay. Opportunity cost is because they are not being available for the job on that day, that is also a cost. For example, 30 people attend your training. Now then, they're not doing any job on that day, they're not productive. So that they're not productive, that is known as an opportunity cost. So many companies want to include that also as cost. Benefits, okay, as I said, training, as I said, success has many, many parents. So it's difficult to say that training did it, but definitely you can identify an outcome, reduce manpower, accidents goes low, increase sales, marketing would try to take credit, but you can also say we did great seller training. So our sellers can communicate, they can handle objections, they have become, master sellers. Place a value on the outcome, so monetize it. And as I said, in 111, there's a problem solved out. So similarly, you'll have life's problems, but for an exam, there's one in the study guide that we have. Change in performance obtains an annual amount of benefit from training by comparing before and after. Sometimes it's very stark, but sometimes it's not so stark. So then the problem starts. ROI, we did this. Now is the time for quiz. Are we ready for the quiz?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
This is the time Yogesh has been waiting for. Sir, when will you give us the quiz? Okay,
Right,
this
sir.
is sharing data analytics. Bhakti says yes. Okay. So let me come to the quiz. And today all of you will score very, very good marks. Let me just open one sec. Close this. Quiz MCQ. Paper 9 data analytics. Okay. There, here goes. Oh, sorry. I did something. The answers are also there. Let me unbolt everything. Sorry. All these small little things. Okay. Here comes. Now it's quiz friendly. The way it was, the answers were all there. Okay. Tell me 1 and 2. Okay. One new message. D. Jugal is right. So we don't evaluate a training to, validate primary. But reality is sometimes we do that also. Yogesh. Sorry, who was that who answered? I think Yogesh. Just Ramesh and Jugal.
Jugal.
Yeah, technically that's a right answer, but sometimes people do that. Just like, you bring in a consultant to syndicate a decision. Sometimes management does it just to validate a primary, but ideally, no. From a student point of view, yes, D is the correct answer. Come to number 2. Two is simple. 2 is C. Yes. Thank you, Bhakti. BCG, POSH, you have to do. Cyber security, you have to do. Business communication is not a compliance training. Thank you. Bhakti. Divya has also woken up. Divya, it's not 2B, it's 2C. Okay, B is more of a compliance training. Many people have to do POSH. I'm just taking if people have to do POSH, regardless of gender. Come to 3 and 4. Question is not placed very happily, but the construction is not great. Which instrument does not require anything else but training? Okay, this is 3T. No, just give a little thought, Bhakti. Which instrument does not require anybody else, but only the trainee will? Yeah. So there is one which can be self-done. Don't need a second guy. It would be B, questionnaire. Okay, this the trainee can do. He doesn't need an interviewer or any other guy. Okay, but thank you. Reaction level feedback covers. This is a simple one. I think all of you will get it. Yeah. So as is, friends, thank you. Jugal, thank you. So it covers everything. Thank you. Corresponding, let me go to 5 and 6. Thank you, Ramesh and Sandeep. Let me go to the next 5 and 6. Okay, let's do 5 first. 6 is slightly below. Okay, 5. This is also a simple one. All the above. Thank you. So that is L2. L2, you can do it at any time. Thank you for being so attentive. Come to 6 and 7. CSAT is customer satisfaction. Results of training could involve D. D is right. Diploma, sorry, not diploma. Dip in accident rates, spike in CSAT, cost saving. So D is fine. And we find 7 new messages. Wow. Jugal, this is 7C. 7C. Kirkpatrick measures for which one is incorrect? Yes. Thank you all. Been very attentive. Jack Phillip is the one which measures DY. In fact, that is why Kirkpatrick is more popular, because he understood that ROI is something very dicey. I mean, it makes good business, but in reality, it is difficult to prove. 8 and 9. I think 8 and 9 are all same. Methods evaluates. 8 is D, all of the above. Again, let me see. Yeah. And what about cost of training? 9. Nine is D. Cost of poor quality. Thank you. So cost of poor quality, we don't take as any cost. Trainers charge material printing. And your final question, and we are done for today. This has no correct answer. But yet some people are giving in answers. Ramesh says D. Ramesh is Prince says. Okay, good. All of you have given great answers. Okay, I really would like to thank you for your cooperation. Did you like the quiz today? Or was it too
Sense.
Yes, sir. We enjoyed.
enjoyed the quiz? So thank you, and we'll meet next Sunday, Prince. And all of you, a big thumbs up. I can see a lot of hands. Let me also give you an equal round of applause for being awake the 90 minutes, and we'll meet next Sunday, 2 o'clock. Okay,
Thank you.
bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.